Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you've got any questions and you want to ask them throughout the show, then please do. Just leave them in the comments section on our live feeds and we will get through them as best we can. If you need any more advice throughout after the show and in your day-to-day business life, make sure you visit the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. There's accountants and business experts such as myself on there 24/7, sharing their knowledge and answering your questions. During the live show, we're running a poll, so make sure you engage with that so we can reveal the answers at the end and I can give you some insight on the results. My name's Johann Goree. I'm the Managing Director of the OnPoint Accounting Group and of JGBC. We are a group of firms across the UK supporting small and startup businesses to get established and to thrive in the current times. So covered a lot of different topics over the last 18 months with QuickBooks Ask the Expert. But there's one that stands out this month, and that's environmental and being green, in line with COP26 happening in Glasgow, which is just an hour across the other side of the country from me. I just wanted to touch on what some of our clients are doing and what you as small business owners can do to help the environment both around you locally and as a wider worldwide thing. So as a small business, when someone says, oh, you need to be more environmental, it's a really daunting prospect. It's like, oh, I can't afford to do everything all these big businesses are doing. I can't make these big, bold pledges because actually I don't really use that much energy. What I use, I need. How do I reduce that and say I'm going to reduce my energy consumption by 50% or reduce my carbon footprint by a huge percentage? But actually, as small businesses, our commitment doesn't need to be huge, but it can soon add up because there's just so many of us small business owners out there that if we all did a little bit, it would really add up in the grand scheme of things. So I wanted to go through today and just highlight some of the things our current clients are doing that are actually really helping, some of the things we're doing, some of the things you might be doing and not even realizing the benefits of it, but it's important that you do realize it so you continue it. So the first principle of all of this when I've been speaking to my clients is to encourage them to remember small steps. Take little steps. We'll get there eventually. We don't need to do everything in one go and overnight. It's just taking it step by step over time. So the first one, quite an easy win, is to replace your lighting with LED bulbs. So as and when light fittings die or light bulbs die, just replace them one at a time as you go with LED bulbs. And that will start helping to save energy. They're more environmental. They're cheaper to run. I think there's an underlying theme here that I'm going to present, that being environmental doesn't have to cost you extra money. It's actually quite financially savvy to be environmental. So putting LED bulbs in, they will cost a bit of money to get in first place, but actually they're a lot cheaper today than they were a few years ago. And they're a lot cheaper to run than normal bulbs. So you will see your energy costs start to go down. So yeah, first step, LED lights. Second step, when you need to replace equipment, furniture, etc., consider upcycled stuff. Consider replacing your broken laptop with a refurbished laptop. Amazon have a huge range of refurbished equipment. I know Apple does it. I think Microsoft does it. It's becoming a more and more popular and high demand area that instead of buying brand new, you go and buy upcycled, recycled, refreshed, good as new type products, because it saves having to drag more minerals and resources out of the ground to produce new things. So if we can all start doing that, that's always really beneficial. Simple things like going paper free. There's a printer in the background here. I can't remember the last time I used that printer. It's there in case we need it, in case a client needs a set of accounts printing off. But we try and do our best to keep everything paper free and stay online with everything. We always say on the bottom of our emails, please consider the environment before you print this email off. I had a lovely admin lady for a client a couple of years ago, and she printed off every single email and had a huge filing system and filing drawers. And it's like, there's just no need for that, because she never went back and looked at any of it. And with things like receipt capture in QuickBooks now, you can email receipts into QuickBooks as a PDF or as a JPEG. You don't need to print it off and store it for 7 years anymore, because you can do that electronically. So that, again, really helps the environment. When you're buying equipment, so in the catering industry, for example, or any industry you're in, if you're having to buy equipment and you're buying new equipment, it might be worth paying the extra 20, 30, 40 quid to get a A+ environmental rated bit of equipment compared to an A. And that would help in the long run save you bills and save your electric bill, because you're running it at a lower cost. So although it sounds like you're spending more in the upfront, which you are, you could certainly spend a lot less in the long run. So always consider the long-term impacts of these things. One of the things one of my clients has been doing is they've been working really hard to reduce their landfill waste. So they have increased the amount of recycling they do dramatically. And that's really positive from a point of view of they can now, it's cheaper to recycle than it is to put into landfill. So financially, they're better off. But that also impacts on the environment and the increase of their and decreasing their carbon footprint, increasing their sustainability. Got clients that are looking to reduce food waste. So whilst food waste does go off and become compost, it takes fuel to get it there. So we've got clients that are, for example, we've got a coffee house. They are grinding coffee beans, making coffee, but the coffee bean grind of coffee beans are then put into sealable bags, and people can come and collect them to put into their compost and into their gardens as fertilizer, because coffee beans are fantastic for your gardens and your flowers. So they are putting that amount of waste into the waste collection system, and it's also saving them money because that's not having to be processed by a waste collection provider. So there's lots and lots of little things you can be doing to be environmental, to have an impact as a small business on the environment. Another one is buy local. I've got a client, yes, they pay slightly more for their food and produce when they cook it for the restaurant, because they buy it all locally. And they also prefer suppliers over other suppliers that have got wind turbines, solar panels, stuff like that. So if you can't be hugely environmentally conscious in your own business, can the suppliers, which are normally bigger than you, are they being environmental? Because if you support them over suppliers that aren't environmental, that's having a positive impact on the environment. It's just in a bit of a chain reaction. So get local produce, so that's not traveling miles and miles. And that will really help both reduce the consumption of fuel, reduce the amount of miles that lorries are having to do. It will increase the quality 9 out of 10 times of the produce you're using. Your customers will love it, especially if you're pushing that it's a local produce that you're using. That's a really on-trend marketing angle to use at the moment. And it has a huge following socially. So definitely worth looking at. So yeah, lots and lots of things for you to be doing to be environmental. Just because you're not a big business doesn't mean you can't be environmental. And you don't have to make this huge, big pledge to be environmental. You can just make lots of little steps gradually. You know, you don't need to rip out every single light bulb today and replace them with LEDs, because that's actually quite wasteful. So just as each light bulb goes, replace it one by one. As each bit of equipment gets to the point that it's no longer feasible to use, replace it with more energy efficient equipment, or replace it with recycled and upgraded equipment. Because that way you're just gradually making an impact. And actually, when you look back at it over 2 or 3 years, you'll realize you've made a huge impact. It's very trendy for restaurants and pubs and stuff to use upcycled and recycled furniture now. So people aren't worried about every desk and table looking the same. They actually quite like the uniqueness that every desk and every table in the restaurant has, because it's been made from recycled wood. It's been repurposed. So there's a pub down the road from me. They've used, to make all their tables, they've used an old wooden school hall floor that was ripped up. It was about to go into the landfill. They've rescued most of it. They've cut it all down, put it together, and they've made tables. So it's a really good use of saving things going from landfill. And it's also more cost effective a lot of the time than buying brand new, because furniture can be extremely expensive. So I hope that gives you some ideas of things that small businesses can really do to help the environment, but also help the bank balance. There's always a financial benefit to being environmental. You're generally reducing your costs. So it's definitely worth looking at. If you want any more information about making a climate commitment as a small, medium enterprise, there's a fantastic website called the Climate Hub, and that's smeclimatehub.org/QuickBooks. So QuickBooks are working with COP26 to help small businesses understand what they can do to help make a commitment towards the climate improvement. So that again is smeclimatehub, all one word, .org/QuickBooks. Visit there. There's some absolutely fantastic tips and advice on there, and some great videos and case studies of what businesses like yours are doing to help them be more environmental. So I really hope that's helped. I hope that gives you some ideas, a bit of motivation, and just to make you realise that actually we can all play our part in this. Let's get on to some questions. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. So our first question is in from Instagram DM. I apologise if I pronounce your name wrong. Is it Miguel? I've issued an invoice on QuickBooks, but since then we've negotiated a lower price. How do I edit the invoice? It's marked as sent and outstanding, or is it better to recreate the invoice? Okay, Miguel, so what you can do, really nice and simple, log into QuickBooks. I'm going to talk you through this from a point of view of logging in on a web browser, not your phone app. So log into QuickBooks on your web browser, find the invoice that you're looking at, and on the right-hand side, there should be the word edit. Click on edit. You can go in, change the amounts. Now, whether that's you override the original amount and overtype it, or you put a new line in with terms of agreed discount or something like that, and then the discount price on it. So then the total at the bottom is correct. And then you can press save and send, and it will send an updated invoice to that customer. And whenever they click on that link, it will always show them the most current invoice and version of it. So I hope that helps, Miguel. That's how I would do it. But if you get stuck on it, you can always drop me a message on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, or there's the fantastic QuickBooks support team, live chat function. They'll be able to take you through it and help you understand how to do it. So our next question is from Louise on Facebook Messenger. An employee just handed in their notice whilst on maternity leave. She has 3 months left before she's due to return to work. Her contract notice period is 1 month. Do I legally need to pay her for the full maternity leave or just her notice period? That's a difficult one to answer, Louise. I'm not a HR expert, but what I would suggest is A, have a chat with someone that is a HR person. If you're a member of the FSB, they've got a fantastic HR helpline. They'll be able to answer that question really specifically. If you're not, then there's always companies like ACAS and stuff like that you can have a chat with. In the notice letter, the only thing I would say is in the notice letter, she may have given a date of her termination of notice. So she's required to give you 1 month's notice, but she might be giving you 3 months' notice in writing. So her termination date may well be the date of her return. If that is the case, then you need to honour the notice period that she's requesting and pay her appropriately. But as I say, I'm not a HR expert. Maternity pay and maternity leave is a very complex topic at the best of times. So definitely worth going and seeking out an expert. There may well be in the QuickBooks SMB community group a HR expert who will be able to answer that question for you and have a little chat with you via Facebook Messenger just to get the details completely right, because it's all very circumstantial based on the scenario. So maybe ask the question in the group, and hopefully you'll find someone able to give you a complete answer very confidently. But the first thing I'd do is just check, has she stated a date on the letter of her termination of employment with you? And take it from there. We've got next question in from Patricia on Twitter DM. Businesses often worry going green will be costly, but you mentioned a few actions that could also be cost effective. Are there other ways you can go green and save money? 9 out of 10 times, going green will save you money in the long run. So it's always worth reviewing the initial investment versus the long-term saving. It will cost you money to put in better insulation into your building. But how much money is that going to save you on your energy bill, have to heat the building throughout the winter in the long run? Now, that bit of maths is going to be different depending on where you live. So, for example, up here in Scotland, in Edinburgh, I'm going to have a longer, colder winter than someone in Devon, for example. So I will see bigger savings on an annual basis for insulating my roof better than someone in Devon might see. But someone up in Inverness or the top end of Scotland is probably going to see even better results and better savings in a quicker time frame than me in Edinburgh. So it's down to the climate that you're in. So yeah, basically anything that's suggested to help reduce your energy bills at home, that could help you in your business. There is a perception that going green is going to cost you more money in the short term. It's going to be expensive. It's going to cost X amount to go for insulation, LED bulbs, improve your double glazing, etc. But the long-term benefits are very often forgotten. So it's really worthwhile weighing it up. And if you've got, say, single glazing in your shop front, have a chat with a double glazing person. They aren't just salespeople now. They are educated and understanding the environmental impact that their product has. And they will be able to say, look, it's going to cost £2,000 to install this, but over the next 10 years, you're going to save X amount in reduction of heating bills. So it's definitely worth getting all your facts to weigh up each decision and whether it's really worthwhile going for it. But yeah, overall, there's a trend of our consumers wanting to support greener businesses. Consumers want to support local, they want to support greener businesses. So tell your story, communicate it. Are you a cafe who is buying produce from a farm that has got a load of land dedicated to solar panels or wind farms? Tell that story. You're not doing it yourself, but frame it that you specifically chose this supplier because they have got this green commitment. That's really beneficial. So it's just telling the story, and that will also potentially increase your trade, your popularity within the local economy, and that will help generate more income as well to help offset the slight cost increase, if there is any, in going green. Hope that helps. Stephen from Facebook Messenger. Oh, this could be a good one. Shipping and deliveries are essential to my business. I want to be more green, but there's literally no way I can deliver all my stock to my customers without vehicles. How do I find eco-friendly transport? Okay, Stephen, so first question would be, are you delivering locally or long distance? If you're delivering locally, as you replace vans and transport, could you replace them for hybrid vehicles or electric-only vehicles? If you're delivering long distance, I'd look at hybrid because electric just hasn't got the distance in it yet, and it takes far too long to recharge. So more environmental vehicles would be a great option. Have a look if your vehicles can handle a more environmental fuel. There is petrols and diesels out there that have reduced carbon production, etc. So it might be worth looking at that. You know, the big boys that are out there delivering are very proud of their green vehicles. Amazon, I think, just brought a huge fleet of battery-operated vans to deliver locally. DPD, Parcel Force, they've all got big signs on a lot of their vehicles saying this is a green van, this van uses less fuel, this van's hybrid, this van's electric. So there are things you can be doing as a delivery company to improve your environmental side of things. But at the same time, you're shipping and delivering. Okay, what about your office? Is there more energy efficient equipment you can be bringing in as you need to replace old equipment? Is there more energy efficient LED bulbs out there? Can you do double glazing or triple glazing instead of single glazing? There's lots of other things that it might seem like you're doing a little thing in the back office somewhere, but actually it's going to be huge. It's going to have a huge impact ultimately if we all did that little thing. So I hope that helps, Stephen. Hassan on Instagram DM. I've had an idea for an app that I'd really want to launch. The only problem is I would need to hire someone to develop and build it. How can I make sure they don't just steal my idea? So if you've got an idea that you want someone to build out for you, you need to put it into contracts that you own the intellectual property, make sure any trademarks are in place, make sure you own the intellectual property, etc. Have a chat with a solicitor to make sure the contracts protect you in a court of law, because a lot of contracts that people write don't actually stand up in a court of law. So make sure, if you're worried about your idea being stolen, it's definitely worth getting legal advice from a professional to make sure that whatever you put in place protects you and your product. And also there's lots of good people out there that will just aren't ideas people, but they have the skills to put your ideas in place. Trust them, build a relationship with them, and you'll probably be fine. We hear a lot of horror stories, but actually it's a minority. But yeah, definitely go and speak to a solicitor and get some professional advice on legal documents, trademarks, intellectual property rights, etc., to make sure that you are completely covered before you employ someone. Luke from Twitter DM. Any tips for the best way to audit our suppliers? We want to figure out how green they are and then help them go more green, as opposed to just cutting them off. Depends on how good a relationship you've got with them. I have a lot of clients who have a fantastic relationship with their suppliers, because a lot of them are quite small suppliers and they're local. So you can have a look on their website, have a look at their social media. Ultimately, go and talk to them. Go and say, look, we've got a commitment to being green. We want to see what your commitment to being green is. We might have some tips and advice from our experience of how to go more green for you. Let's have a coffee. Let's meet up. Let's have a coffee. I'd love to be shown around your business. I'd love to see what it's all about so I can understand the product I'm buying, so I can tell my clients about the product they're selling, that they're buying from me. I met a fantastic coffee provider in Edinburgh the other day. They were telling me all about how they go to more sustainable farms. They go through the smaller brokers so they can guarantee better prices to the farmer, better welfare conditions, etc. And the client who buys from that coffee person goes and visits them regularly. They see all this, they understand it all, so they can tell their customers about it. So two-way communication, just being open and honest about it all. That's the way to do it. Our next question is from Nazim on Facebook Messenger. I'm one of 3 co-founders, and as our business has expanded, it's become clear that we all have very different management styles, which is making it very hard to work together. Do you have any advice on how we could address this and work together moving forwards? As you grow bigger, you'll always find different people have different management styles. What's really important is you sit down as a group and you decide whose areas of responsibilities are whose. so that you're not crossing over. So maybe one of your directors is responsible for customer relations. One of your directors is responsible for finance. One of your directors is responsible for general direction and future of the business. Whatever it is, tie up your passions and your management styles with the areas of responsibility that you have for your business, and be really clear about those defined areas and crossover, and that will help you work a lot better together. There's always going to be some confrontation there. If you've got different management styles, people will think they get better results with their management style. Others will think they actually get worse results. Different scenarios will bring out different management styles. Different management styles and different scenarios will have better or worse impacts. But being aware of each other's management style, and each of you being self-aware of your management style and the pros and cons of it, is really, really important. So have a chat with each other, be open, have a discussion about direction and how you're going to do it. And yeah, just start from there, I'd say. And if it's still not working, there's loads of business coaches, management styles, gurus, etc., that will be able to help you work out how best to integrate all three styles, because each one's going to have a strength, each one's going to have a weakness, and hopefully you've got some fantastic different styles that will balance each other out in different scenarios. So I hope that helps. Nate from Twitter DM: I've designed my own business logo and I'm wondering how I can protect it. Do I need to copyright it or trademark it? Nate, if you're worried about someone stealing your logo or an element of your logo, you can go and apply on the government website to trademark it. I think it's about £250, and that trademarks it. It's quite a long process. We've done it ourselves. You apply online, fairly simple form. You make your payment. There you go. A trademark specialist goes through your application. They check that it doesn't clash with anything already trademarked. They put it out on an open forum for people to appeal against if they think you're crossing over into their territory and they were there first. I think after 6 months, it all comes to an end that you get a certificate confirming your trademark ownership. So yeah, definitely worth looking at online and having a visit of with the trademark website there with the government. It is something you can do yourself. If you want to be really bulletproof, you can go and ask a solicitor to help you with it. And there's different ones that will specialize in that. Okay, our final question for today. Time is running on. Roy from Instagram DM: I want to hire a fixed term contractor and they've asked if I would cover the cost of their setup, including furniture and equipment, as they aren't a permanent hire. Is this something I am responsible for? Fixed term contractor, if you're employing them, then yes, you need to set them up with equipment. So if they're on the payroll, if they've got an employment contract, you need to set them up with equipment as a business owner. When they finish employment, then they have to give all that equipment back. So you'll still have it. If they are not on the payroll, they are self-employed as a freelance kind of contractor, then they're responsible for their own setup. I hope that helps. Not quite sure if it will, but they were the two defining things I would say there. Payroll, yes, you're responsible. They're your employee, regardless of how long you are going to employ them for. Freelancer, it's their responsibility. So I hope that helps. Okay, we have got time to deliver the poll results. Are you working towards becoming a sustainable business? 50% of you said yes, 50% of you said no. 50% of you said yes, fantastic, that's great news. 50% of you said no. I'm hoping today's session might have triggered some thoughts. Even just swapping your light bulbs out and putting LED bulbs in, that's you working towards becoming a more sustainable business. So hopefully today's given you some ideas, some inspiration. That means you are considering now to become more sustainable. Maybe you're looking at what sustainability is in a slightly different viewpoint, looking at it from a different angle, and realizing actually, now you haven't said all this stuff, maybe I am working towards becoming sustainable. And if someone asked me that question again, I'd say yes. Because small businesses, individuals, we all have responsibility for the environment around us. So we should all be working towards it, ideally in some way. So thank you all for tuning in today. If you want to get into contact with me, you can do. You can send me a message on LinkedIn. We can connect on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm always happy to have a chat with anyone that wants to have a chat. Coming up on Ask the Expert on Monday is Aaron Patrick, an accountant, QuickBooks Pro Advisor and Head of Accounts at Boffix. Tune in for advice on accounting and the latest features and tools that will make your bookkeeping easier. A reminder that if you've got any more advice, if you need any more advice, then please join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. There's accountants and business experts on hand 24/7 answering people's questions, sharing their knowledge, sharing their experiences to help others to overcome their challenges. I've really enjoyed answering all your questions this morning. I hope you have a fantastic day and we will talk soon.